point to L.
Welcome back.
What a way to kick off Super Week.
That's right. It's Super Week presented by Moose Roofing and OSI Oakland. And we thought Super Bowl, we thought New Orleans, and we thought, let's just have Michael come in and just hang out with us for like a half hour.
Sure. Sounds awesome.
And so here we are. You would be listening to the show, I think, anyway, because I'd be receiving various direct messages from you throughout the show.
I do not have your phone number.
Yeah, we should actually.
So that's why I always send you the DM thing on Twitter.
It all gets to me.
Yeah.
It all gets to me.
It's right there in front of you.
Yeah. Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Yes. The only place it should be. I say this all the time to people.
That was always how it used to be.
So for a while, it was tied with 7 with LA and Miami and New Orleans. And then they got ahead because the last time it was in New Orleans, of course, it was the blackout, and that wasn't a great thing.
No.
But there's no place in America that has more hotel rooms within walking distance of the facility than New Orleans. There's something like 120,000 hotel rooms within a mile and a half. It's crazy. So that's why. That's why it's great. Then you can walk to the quarter. You can walk down Poydras. There's so many places to eat. It's just the perfect place for a Super Bowl.
I love it because it's unique, right? It's not, they've created all, whether it's the Super Bowl or the Final Four or whatever, the national championship game for football, they put it in these same locations.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just like, it looks the same every year. When it's in New Orleans, it doesn't look or feel the same.
Yeah, and it's the history too of it. You've had some pretty good Super Bowls there, and you've had some weird things. So the first Super Bowl that was supposed to have been in the Superdome did not happen because, believe it or not, when you have a project that big, it wasn't on time. So since they didn't finish, they had to play it at Tulane Stadium. It was one of the coldest, believe it or not, one of the coldest Super Bowls of all time. In New Orleans, that Super Bowl had more fumbles than, well, maybe it's changed since then, but of all time. So that was Pittsburgh and Minnesota in a rainy, cold New Orleans where there was fumbles all over the place.
Weird.
Because it wasn't in the Superdome because the Superdome was overdue to be open.
and
they had it at Tulane.
Now the last 6, right? So this is the 8th.
Yeah, I went in 81 for Eagles, Oakland Raiders, which Eagles got completely robbed. Horrible calls in that. Matter of fact, even the Kenny King touchdown shouldn't have been a touchdown. It was blatant holding on it. Then I went to the Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Bears. That was really cool because when the Patriots and Bears came to town, I was in 6th grade, I believe. Is that right? No. I take it back. I was a sophomore in high school. So the first one I was 6th grade. So sophomore in high school, and they took the high school kids to all of these events and brought the Bears and brought the Patriots.
That's awesome.
And it was really cool. I got a really cool pendant with all the Patriots signatures, which worth as much as the Bears. But yeah, I went to that Super Bowl and we left in the middle of the third quarter.
Wow.
It wasn't very competitive. We left because my mom had some stuff to go to. And then the only one I've ever worked was 96 season, 97 Super Bowl.
Okay.
So I was in Monroe, Louisiana at the time. And my now wife, she was living in New Orleans going to Tulane. And so I came to see her. I said, well, let me get a pass to go to all the media stuff. And I did that. And then the day of the Super Bowl, about 2:00, my wife has an anaphylactic reaction to something she ate, which means she gets hives and all this. And it was horrible. But once we got her all taken care of, I went over and watched the last 3 quarters of the Super Bowl where the Packers beat the Patriots.
I'm just thinking, have we ever gone and done Super Bowl media Radio Row?
We've talked about it. So nowadays, in the last 15 years, they won't give you a Radio Row spot unless you have a connection with a team.
Interesting.
Now, before this, we didn't have the Chiefs. Now with the Chiefs going so much, I bet you they would give it to you guys.
Yeah.
Because you do. At least that afternoon show does that stupid segment with that guy who calls games for them. So you have that you could have a reason to go.
Hey, so speaking of that, are you're quitting football after?
If the Chiefs win again, I almost did it last year. I came really close to quitting the NFL to the point where my wife was going to buy me some stuff, always Saints stuff for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I said to her, if the Saints win, I mean, if the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls, I'm done. So she didn't buy me anything even for Christmas, any Saints stuff. So if it's
and when you give stuff like
when I give it up, I give it up.
You have threatened, and I thought they were just threats for a period of time. No. You were like, I have to stop watching baseball now. I've watched the Mets for my entire life, but baseball is dead to me. And you actually stopped.
I have not watched a game. I said all the time, I saw 1 inning of an All-Star game last year. And that's where I found out that Soto wasn't no longer
Yeah.
with Washington. I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
He plays
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't know.
Yankees.
And I really don't watch
Now
the
the
NBA
Mets.
much.
Now he plays for the Mets.
anymore.
Did you know that?
I did hear that.
Yes.
Like a large contract.
A big.
I heard about that. Yeah.
$700+ million.
But I also heard from a guy who is a big donor for them that means they won't be able to keep the polar bear.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going elsewhere
Oh, okay.
at this point.
That's sad. So anyway, yeah. And I really don't watch the NBA. I haven't watched an NBA game all year.
Yeah.
I did follow the Luka thing because, see, what you guys don't understand, as a Sixer fan from when I was 7 years old, this is Embiid. Don't you realize a guy who can't get himself in shape, a guy who is always banged up with a similar injury every time, it's always the calf, he is going to end early unless he turns his life around. Best thing that ever happened to that dude right there is to go to the greatest personal trainer in America, LeBron James, and go, this saves his career. This dude's up to like 290 pounds.
They were
And he
saying
can't-
270 or something like
he
that.
is fat. I'm fat. I know. He's fat. He needed to get in shape or his career was going to end just like Embiid's is going to end. It's good for him. I'm glad for him. Happy for him to get out of Dallas and go someplace where maybe he could light a fire under his ass.
But unfortunately, if you're the Mavs GM, you're like, well,
tell me
gotta do something.
who they should have traded for. If you think you can win this year and all you think you need is a defensive big man, tell me who they trade for.
well, I just think you add like 6 more first-round picks
Well, you
to
don't
that
want the
deal.
first round picks. You don't want the first round picks.
Why not?
You
You're
wanna-
getting them for free.
you wanna
You're
win-
getting,
no, you don't
it's,
want
it's
the
either
first-
1 first-round pick or 5 first-round
They
picks.
don't want to keep the team in Dallas if they can't get the law passed to have
Right.
gambling.
There's that
So
part
they
too.
have this year to run for, and then after that, if they can't get the gambling done, they want to be bad. They want to go to Vegas. They want to do the switch up.
I
When
just-
team comes in.
I just heard about that theory this morning.
They want to get out of there.
Yeah.
Because Texas is one of those weird states. Like Alabama's another one. Utah's another one. Well, I don't think they'll ever have legalized gambling. They just don't want it. They don't need it for the taxes, right? Texas doesn't need it. And then they have the religious Bible Belt stuff too. So if they're not going to have it, and these people are casino people.
So they're trying to find excuses to move themselves out
If
of
they
Dallas.
can't get the legislature to help them, yeah. They wanted to build this amazing facility that involved the basketball arena and a giant casino surrounding it. I've seen the prospects of it. It looked really cool, but
They were like, no.
they're like, no. But if you want to win this year and you think the only way you're going to win is to get a defensive big man, the only other person is Bam Adebayo. Who else fits this category of a guy who's that talented who could help carry you?
It didn't seem like they were going to them with the express purpose of like, we want Anthony Davis and we
No,
think
they
Anthony
did.
Like,
They went.
but it
as
just felt like
early as
it more felt like they were trying to just off Luka.
January 9th, supposedly, that's according to the reports.
Right.
They went to Dallas, went to LA and said, we want Anthony Davis. We want to get him. What's it going to take? And then they negotiated and it went up and down and up and down. And they finally did it. And I think they did it because of 3 reasons. One being the whole thing with the casino. Also, do you see what the extension is going to be for him being with the same team for 5 years? You see how much it's going to be?
No, he's got the.
You're going to get that guy
Supermax.
$330 whatever million, a guy who can't even stop drinking beer for part of the season.
He loves eating
can't
and
do some
drinking beer.
sit-ups.
Yeah,
And then
and not trying very hard.
and then the other
Right.
reason is I really honestly believe that they think, it's probably completely wrong, that Luka on the Lakers, now he owns Oklahoma City. We know that, right? You put Luka on the Lakers with a guy like LeBron, and you say, okay, you guys go off and do that thing, you'll be good. But we are at Dallas, a team that can play defense now, and we'll be able to beat the teams that are smaller. OKC is smaller than them. The Lakers are good size with them, but I think they really believe they can win a championship with Anthony Davis. It may be crazy,
Yeah, if you're thinking about this year,
just this year. Yeah.
then maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
But I know he's going to be
case.
26 years old. I know how young
But
he
then
is.
there was the
I
whole
get it.
thing that they were, the GM the next day was talking about, I really believe the defense wins championships. And of course, there's nobody left. Like Luka's not there and AD's not there yet.
Right,
They
right.
give up 144. They give
Yeah.
up like 90 at halftime.
I know.
It was just funny.
Who is give me the great player like that's won a championship that wasn't also a good defensive player? Because the majority of those guys don't ever get the championship.
Right.
It's something about it. You have to be able to be a little bit of a two-way player. And that's not what Luka is. He's not a two-way player.
No, but
And
if you pair him along with LeBron, well, I mean, it's late stage LeBron now.
yeah, he's 40 years old.
Right.
Yeah, but how many the Knicks, right? I was looking at the box score. He had like an incredible game against the Knicks.
Yeah, LeBron.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's 40, but he could still give you maybe one great game a week. Right?
Yeah.
That's the playoffs.
By the way, do you remember when I was thinking about that? Because I it was like the second or third thing that came up like in the NBA, realm of things. Back in the day when LeBron would play at MSG, or like when Jordan would play at MSG, it would be, or Kobe would play at MSG. It would just be like the top thing.
Yep.
On every sports. I miss that. Why isn't that a thing? Why don't we talk about that as much anymore? Like I would have loved to talk about how
It should be like that again because the Knicks are now good, right?
I know. Yeah.
Because that was back when the Knicks weren't good.
Maybe MSG has lost its magic.
I still love that building. I know you.
I've never been.
So
I've
we went to
never
the
been.
Big East.
I mean, I've been around it. I haven't seen an event in there.
Big East tournament a couple years ago. We went, and I hadn't been in it probably for 10 years. And you come in that tunnel, the backside of the media entrance, and you're walking through that tunnel, and they got all these posters of all these amazing concerts that have been there. And
Billy Joel.
A lot of Billy Joel, yes, 10 days in a row. But they have that, and you're just walking through there, and as soon as you walk out and you look up and you see all the Knicks from 71 and 72, 70, 71, 72, you see all that. You look the other, it's just a really cool building. It just really is.
I know.
And it has so much history.
I love New York.
I love New York. The only other place
I think we're the only two people who are like,
I would live in New York. When they said it was the bowl game, if we weren't going to New Orleans,
I was going to say, did you think about going?
I did. If it wasn't the fact that we were going to New Orleans already and it was all scheduled, and I told you it was a weird year for that, I would have definitely tried to go. I took my kids to New York. So I left New York when I was almost 8. I took my kids when they were 6 and 9 to New York, took them to Mets games, took them to the Statue of Liberty, took them everywhere because I wanted them to experience New York around the same age that I experienced New York.
I thought about going to that game, and I said it out loud, I think on a crossover one day, and I was laughed out of it. It's like, you're not going to actually go, are you? He's like, why not?
It's expensive, obviously, to go to New York,
right?
But it's worth it. It's like having a Super Bowl in New Orleans. There's so much to do. You spend one day, just go to the World War II Museum, and you'll never experience something like that. You spend 4 or 5 days just hitting the best places to eat.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would just eat the entire time. I'd be like Luca. Just eat the entire time.
Just eat the whole time. He would not be good in New Orleans. Obviously, that's Zion's problem.
Well, Zion's got a bit of a
Zion's
situation
problem
right now.
Yeah, there's no place to, if you have a problem with addiction, any kind of addiction, New Orleans is not the place to be.
I spent like 3 days in New Orleans, and that was enough.
Yeah, it's because it's not 3 days.
No, it feels
72
like 9
hours.
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
It's close as you get to Vegas. And even Vegas has a slow period sometimes.
But I've always said with Vegas, like, you can't spend more than 3 or 4 days in Vegas. I know you have.
Yeah. Well, for events and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Yeah, it is. New Orleans is hard because nothing closes. And things are rarely cheap. I mean, fairly cheap. So, for example,
time doesn't matter.
Sunday night is Sun night, right? And then Sin night. Saturday night is Sin night. Sunday is Sun night. They have 3-for-1 drinks at almost all the bars. Most of the businesses are closed on Monday. Like restaurants are closed on Monday. Want to get your hair done? The hairdressers are closed on Monday because people go and they party all weekend. They need Monday to recover.
Yeah,
I went to that city. I was doing my internship. That would have been 1994. I did my internship there, and I went there every weekend. I would leave college. I would go to the airport. I would be there from 6 o'clock on Friday to 9 o'clock on Monday.
You're talking about Vegas or New Orleans?
No, this is New Orleans. Yeah. And I was working at a TV station, and I was doing some producing. I literally wouldn't sleep. We would do the Friday night show. We would go out. We would get home 3-4 o'clock in the morning after getting some Rallies, double burger with chili. I would get up first thing in the morning. I'd go back to the radio station. I would get all the college football stuff ready to go, TV station, get all the college stuff ready to go, tape games, edit. Saturday night, same thing. We'd go back out again. We go to a different place Saturday night.
You can only do that for so long.
It'll kill you. It literally will wear you out. That's why I always said New Orleans is a 72-hour city. Go there for 72 hours, have a blast, and then get out.
I bet you're hoping that happens with the Chiefs at some point this week. Oh, the Chiefs have found themselves enjoying themselves too much.
I think they pretty much understand the process by now of how to handle themselves at a Super Bowl.
Probably.
3rd year in a row.
Are you looking forward to the game? Are you looking forward to the game?
So it's complicated because I have this panic kind of thing that they're going to win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And I won't watch the NFL anymore. So I have that.
You're not giving up the NFL.
I have that in my chest a little bit. So that's tough. A lot of my friends are Philly fans. You know, I lived in
Okay.
Philly.
That's right.
A lot of my
you
close
went to your
friends-
draft in Philly. a
Yep,
couple years ago.
I got my what's it called WhatsApp, right? I got the thread on
Oh,
there. They're
yeah.
all Eagles fans.
You're on WhatsApp.
Just because that it's my draft guys. So all the guys we go with to the draft, they made a WhatsApp, and so we're on there. Anyway,
Just text them.
my favorite thing about the WhatsApp is that it is very convenient. Anyway, my favorite thing about it is that one of my friends who's like always behind will send like something that happened. And I'm like, dude,
you guys see this?
I'm on X. I know what happened. But anyway, so yeah, I'm cheering for the Eagles. I hope they win. I hope they do very well. A lot of my bets that I have set up are Eagles-based bets.
Mhm.
So I hope they do very well. It'd be miserable and also when the Chiefs win something, I shut down my social media. I shut down I don't watch it or listen to anything. So I lose like weeks on time of sports.
How have you allowed the Chiefs fans to infiltrate your life that much?
I've hated them since I want to go back to maybe 2005. I've hated them.
Just because of the fans? Yeah.
The fans.
Yeah.
I can't stand the fans. Now, I do not dislike them as much as I used to. People make fun of me of this because I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. And so because of her thing,
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm actually a little bit not as much.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are of the rare people that
She helped me be less of a hater. Of her.
you hate them less now
Yeah.
than when they were
'Cause
bad.
I love her storyline. I love the storyline with her and Travis. So I mean, he was also my first 5 years in this one league. When he was in the league, I had him every year as my keeper. So he's always got the relationship too for me.
Sal says, "Damn, I thought I just like the Chiefs. Michael is next level. I mean, he's legitimately considering giving up football.
I'm definitely am. So I have that issue. But in terms of a game, it is a great matchup.
I know
Across the
but I
board,
just-
it is a great matchup.
and maybe it's Monday, so I'm not there yet. But gosh, I've had a problem getting there. I haven't been I would have been thinking about the Super Bowl throughout last week.
Mhm.
Now it's like I can't get there yet.
Scariest fact, you know how many times Patrick Mahomes has lost in a true dome game?
0. Yeah,
A true dome game. That means
but
a
no
game that doesn't have open.
retractable.
Yes. He's never lost in a true dome
How
game.
many games are we talking
Like
about?
15, I think.
Oh, crap.
I know.
Okay, so who plays at a dome? New Orleans,
Atlanta. Now
Atlanta.
Los Angeles.
Yes.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yep.
Um,
Those aren't all bad.
Houston.
teams. Houston.
Phoenix.
Houston's retractable, right? Nah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Phoenix.
Phoenix, I believe, is permanently indoors.
Yeah.
Actually, most of them are permanent. Like, there's not many retractable.
The funny thing about it, and when I say true, meaning it wasn't open.
right?
So it was closed when it's
Right.
been closed. But the name of the place is still the Dome.
Oh, so it's just in a dome. That's
In
basically
a dome
period.
when it's not open.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of too many that haven't open ever. During
Well,
the
Dallas
NFL
does
season.
it, right? Dallas goes back and forth to having theirs open,
I don't
right?
think so.
I think they do.
They just have the big window that.
But then they
everybody-
have the issue where they were trying to open it that one time and a piece of metal fell and almost killed 4 people.
Well, there was that one.
yeah. So I think they do
I think
occasionally
Indy-
if the weather's nice.
Indy has. I think they have the ability to open that one.
Really? I didn't know that. I've been there a
Uh,
couple times. I don't remember that, but that's possible.
It was definitely. I mean, the only time I've been there was for media days, and it was 800 degrees outside.
I went there for the Big Ten championship in 2012.
Oh yeah.
and then I
What a
went
game.
there back again in 2018. So yeah, I think it's a great matchup. I'm excited about the betting possibilities of it. I'm excited about watching the whole thing, cooking all the food and all that stuff.
But there's a lot at stake.
There's a lot at stake.
So if you give up the NFL, what will you do with the draft?
The
You love-
draft is
you
a
love the
college
draft.
event.
Okay.
So I thought you were bringing in for me to break down what happened to the Senior Bowl.
Well, let's
and
talk about
Shrine
the
Bowl.
draft.
I thought you wanted to break down the Shrine. I watched both the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl.
Of course you did.
Got me some notes and stuff. Got to have that down. Ty Robinson, excellent performance.
Why
good
we're bringing
penetration.
you here, by the way, is just to hang out.
Oh, okay,
I
cool.
just wanted to hang out with you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there were no parameters set.
I appreciate that.
Just like, hey, how about we get Michael in there? It's like, great,
Do you
awesome.
know that one of the practice players of the week at the Shrine Bowl was Isaiah Nayor?
I heard his name pop up a couple times.
He was
But,
the practice
okay,
player of the week for wide receivers.
so help me sift through this
Sure.
because every single Senior Bowl, if you follow Nebraska,
Mhm.
you see, oh wow, Ty Robinson had a great week. Oh
He did
wow,
it, yeah.
Nash Shotmaker had a great week. Oh, and Isaiah Nair had a great week. Is that like comparative to what? It feels like all these players help themselves out every year.
Well, No,
by
there's a lot
some
of guys that
miraculous
didn't have
way.
great weeks.
Okay, good.
So if you pull up any
Did
of
any
those,
Nebraska guys not have great weeks?
well, Tommy was struggling. Tommy Hill was struggling, had his best day on Thursday, and then got hurt
Yeah,
and had to leave.
classic.
So classic Tommy Hill.
Mhm.
Nash Hutmacher was okay during the week, just based off of all the reports. And I watched you can watch all the practices. They're online.
Yeah.
Ty Robinson had a great week and had a great game.
Okay.
Like he had push. He split a couple double teams. He really looked good in the game.
Is there a real world where he's a first rounder?
I don't think so. I think he's a day 2 guy, middle of the second. So there's 6 guys that I think on a defensive line, just looking at the rankings, that are ahead of him. And traditionally you have about 5, 6, maybe 7, depending if it's a good year. And this is going to be a defense first round that would go ahead of him. So I think that puts him in the second round.
And then Fedoni. There was Fedoni.
So you're going to be shocked by this, but Fedoni missed his share of blocks during the Senior Bowl. I texted a guy you just had on the radio. I'm like, do you know why this is? Do you know why? I think part of it maybe is he doesn't have the greatest want to when it comes to that part of his game.
Yeah.
Because he had 2 or 3
Not-
opportunities in the
Not necessarily
game
a willing blocker.
to really put a guy down, and he completely missed them.
Yeah.
Now, he only had 1 ball thrown to him, so he caught it.
Okay.
Good for him. And they couldn't block the front. The team he was on couldn't block the front, so none of the quarterbacks had a lot of time to throw. But the good thing is that Ty Robinson and Fedoni were on opposite teams. So you could see them at the same time, which is kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing that I always like about the Senior Bowl, I never really watch it or whatever. It was on. I love when they put all the different logos on the guys' helmets.
I do.
I love.
like
I don't
that
know
too.
why.
Yeah.
It's like seeing all the colors with the MLB All Star
Did you
game
see-
that you used to love.
Dylan Gabriel's
No, how
helmet.
many
so he had
logos
the
did he have on
Oregon
there?
here, and he had the UCF, and then he had the Oklahoma. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Awesome.
I thought it was really cool.
I would just be collecting logos and just slapping them on
Yeah.
my helmet all
The
week
old
long.
East-West Shrine game back in the day was crazy. They'd have so many you couldn't tell who the player was. Now they've kind of limited it. They don't do it as much anymore. I think they basically only do it if you actually played for that team in the past.
Yeah,
And not everybody's played for somebody.
that's true. Everybody's played for multiple teams.
Yeah, Ty Robinson is truly a unicorn.
Seriously, in college for 6 years
Yeah,
and only
in
played
one
for
place.
one team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
I think there was only 2 players in all of the Senior Bowl that were like that.
Any other Nebraska thoughts based off of what Rule had to say this weekend and where they're headed and anything
No,
like that?
I think there's times where he uses better than any coach I've ever been around. This includes the NFL. He uses his press conferences or news conferences to deliver messages,
He
whether
has
it be to
things that he
student
wants to
athletes
say.
or to the media or to people, fan base, and that's what he did. And I thought when he got to the part, and it was one of the first questions when they asked him about special teams, I think he was just kind of downplaying the fact because he knew that they were getting ready to make a hire.
Yeah.
And he just kind of downplayed it.
Well, in hindsight,
and he
'cause
loves Ed Foley. That's
'cause-
one of his best friends.
no doubt. I was going to have a whole big, if they didn't hire Eckler today, to be like, man, that answer just was not real.
Yeah.
Didn't really do it for me.
Right.
Because he talked about how, hey, it was the snapper
Yeah.
and there wasn't necessarily anything that we did schematically that was wrong. And,
There's six.
and I'm
six
like, that's
phases.
not true.
They were bad in all the
yeah,
phases.
I know. That's
They're bad in
definitely
all the
not true.
phases.
And then they hired a guy and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I see what he was doing.
That's it. So I follow special teams.
You do.
A lot.
You
because
follow things.
The Jet Award Foundation. Tennessee's return game the last 2 years has been great. They had a guy, D. Williams, last year, who was one of the best kick returners. This year, this is the funny part about it, they have 3 different guys in their punt return game that were good. They led the SEC with over 15 yards of return. They had the most long returns out of anybody. I think they had something like 6 or 7 20-pluses and 130 plus. I think that's right. They did give up a kickoff return for a touchdown the final week of the season against Vandy. They had
If they have multiple guys who could do it, that makes you think that they were doing some other stuff right.
Exactly. That's what because I know sometimes people would go, well, what about the talent? So they got one guy named Squirrel,
Love it.
another guy named Boo.
Love it.
Those are 2 of their punt returners
Squirrel and Boo.
who both were really good. And then they have a third guy who didn't have as many, but he had a touchdown. He had their own league touchdown return on
Nice.
punt returns. But they're good. And they're good in coverage. Didn't give up a lot of big.
And they were bad before Eckler got there. too.
Exactly. He made them better.
So
He made them better.
I don't know. That makes you think something is going to change.
The guy's got so much energy. I remember when he did the whole thing where he had the fake tattoo for Will Compton.
Yeah,
And that
that's
became
right.
a storyline for like 3 months.
That's right.
And every time you'd see Eckler, you'd picture him being 4 feet off the ground, jumping and doing some sort of chest bump.
He's headbutting people with helmets on.
Exactly. He's just a fiery guy. And the funny thing is, when they hired him, people weren't very happy about it because of the relationship with Kansas State at that time.
That's right.
And people were like, oh, you're bringing in a Wildcat at Kansas State. It didn't take very long for him to win over Nebraska.
Yeah, a long time ago. That stuff doesn't really matter.
Not anymore. Not anymore at all. We don't have those, except with Colorado, basically. That's the one team where people have really held on, and maybe Texas have really held on to that hatred.
Nebraska got a player from Colorado now. How would that be received? I think it would be more of like a slide at like Colorado. They'd be like, say, screw you.
They want to come to us.
Yeah.
But when Colorado's playing, I'm assuming almost every Nebraska fan out there is cheering against them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I know that's the case for Texas.
Yes.
It may be Miami still, too. It's a possibility.
They're just so far removed from everything.
Yeah.
You don't even probably watch them as much anymore.
When I got here, Kansas State was one big one because they had gotten good. Iowa State obviously had a couple wins over Nebraska, so that was one of them. People didn't care about Kansas much. They hated Colorado,
Missouri.
Yeah, the last 6 years with Missouri, that was maybe 5.
Yep.
That was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was this guy AJ the Hater who used to call and write. He was on a message board guy.
I feel like that sounds familiar.
AJ the Hater, dude, and we had a bet. The Missouri Nebraska game in the rain. Remember that game at Missouri?
Thursday night. Yeah.
And I bet him that Nebraska won by 2 touchdowns. And he was killing me with like stuff on this message board they were on at the time. And you know what happened in the last quarter.
Yeah.
And then after he didn't call the show. It was great though. Those are good times. Those are really good times when you have guys like AJ the Hater.
Well, Michael.
Yeah.
That was a fast 25 minutes or whatever.
So by the way, New Orleans, if you ever have a chance to go and you need places to eat, email me. I will email you a list of places to go.
He will.
I'll send you the list, places to go, things to see, things to do. You'll have a blast.
And the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Oh, I so hope so.
I don't even know what I'm rooting for. I guess I approach it.
Game.
I guess I approach it just like every other Sunday that I watch the NFL. I just sit there and I say, wow, football.
Give me a good game. I mean, 38-35, despite that horrible, ridiculous holding call late in the game. Anyway, so yeah, you get one of those games.
Well, and then also we predicted several weeks ago that it would be the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and that the Chiefs would win it 17-13.
Oh my God, low.
Yeah, but I no longer think that.
Yeah.
But it'd be really funny if it was super low scoring and it would just be a horrible game on top of it.
I think if you're going to take a safe bet, and there's no safe bets, is that if you like to tease, I would say take the 6-point tease. You move Philadelphia to 7.5.
Yep.
And you drop that thing down to 42 or 41, depending on where it is.
Yeah.
And you go with that. You go with the over. And you
it feels like an over game anyway.
Yeah.
But if you basically buying 6 points or whatever.
Exactly. And then you figure it'll be within a touchdown. You figure it will be either way. So
any Jet Award stuff that we need to get the word out there for right now?
We're going to be putting out some single tickets, which we normally don't do because we're getting a lot of interest because Caden Wheaton won from Iowa.
Yes. How do you pronounce it again?
It's Caden Wheaton.
That's correct.
That's how he told me when
Yes.
we did a
T is silent.
We did a thing with him with Johnny, congratulating him, and he told me to pronounce it that way. So we're going to be doing that very soon. We're selling tables. We have this really cool auction group that's coming in. They have amazing things. Everything from golf to boxing, all kinds of stuff for the auction. So that's going to be fun this year. If you want to find out more information, go to thejetaward.com. A lot going on there. So no, I'm excited. But it's gonna be a fun event. And we're adding the girls award or the females award. If it's a high school player, I think we say girls and boys, but whatever.
It's what I always thought too.
Yes,
it's girls basketball, and then when you get to college, it's women's basketball.
Exactly. So Jordan Larson Award. This will be the first year we're giving that. I'm very excited about that. I'm glad that we're gonna be able to do that. I hope that Jordan can be there. Probably not though. They'll probably be in the playoffs with Love VB or however you say that, and she probably won't be there, but it's gonna be a fun event.
Awesome, Michael.
You're invited, of course.
Oh, I will. I love to go every year.
Yeah,
I went last year. I had to leave early because I had to pick somebody up from the airport. I think I don't know why. But
okay.
I left. I think I had dinner and left. That was bad.
We may have a huge announcement next week about the awards.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
we may have that. It'll be a big deal.
Michael, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
Michael Severe, everyone. Now the live studio audience would give a round of applause there. Good job. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.